is going to be a word that transforms into its shape. So we're each going to get a letter of the alphabet, and you're going to be responsible for making an animal silhouette of your letter. So here's an example. I'm going to play this one and test the scene here. Hopefully it'll make more sense when you see it. So you can see that if I was assigned the letter A, that's what I'm going to start with. Then I'm going to type the word, and then it's going to morph into that shape. So I have alligator, and it morphed into an alligator. And then you're going to have a small animation, just like I did, having it open its mouth and move its tail. One thing you'll also notice is in the transition, all of these letters transition pretty nicely into the, if I scrub over, all of them transition pretty nicely into the shape except for the second L. Oops. The second L and the I, they're a little funky, and I left it that way right now just so that I can show you how to do it, how to fix this. So we will get into that. So just to start, I copied and pasted the beginning of my animation onto a new document so I can show you. You should know what to do up to this point because of the previous assignments that we had done, but you're going to make a layer for each letter separately because each letter is going to be a separate tween. So you can see I have the A, L, L, I, G, A, T, O, R, and you're going to want to order the layers so that it's easy for you to follow along. Make sure you name the layers so that you can animate a little easier. So again, I started with the A. I just had it hold there, pause for a little bit, and then I put a classic tween on it to change the shape, the size and its spot. So at this point, now I want the computer to type out my word. So I have keyframe by keyframe, I add an L, then I add the other L, and you can see here in the timeline how I went about doing that. And like I said, hopefully you know how to do this by now from the previous assignments. And you're going to want to just extend those keyframes for a little while so that whoever's watching this has a chance to kind of read the word and let it sink in for a second or two. Okay, so at this point we're going to start putting our shape tweens in. I'm going to put a copy of a keyframe there because if we want to make a change, we need to have that black circle, the keyframe. So again, that's F6. And I can do that for each one because I think I'm going to morph them all at the same time rather than doing one at a time. So I'm just going to finish doing that. Okay. The next step. If I click on these, you can see it's got that box around it. And whenever we're dealing with tweens, unless you put a symbol on it, you don't want that box. This is a text box, and we can't put a tween in unless we get rid of that. So we're going to want to select each keyframe. So here's the A. I'm going to go up to Modify, Break Apart, and you can see that box will change. But I don't want to see any boxes. I just want it to see the letter highlighted. So I'm going to go up to Modify again, Break Apart, and here now it's highlighted, so we're ready to animate it. Okay, and you're going to want to do that for each one. So let me do the L now. Modify, Break Apart, Modify, Break Apart. It's highlighted. I'm good to go. So I'm just going to do 2 for now, just to save time. And now we want to start doing the shape tween. So it's kind of hard to just imagine what this animal is going to look like. To make it a lot easier on yourself, what I want you to do is I want you to go into Google and search your animal and with the word silhouette, and hopefully you'll get a lot of good images to pop up. This is the image I use to help me with mine. And what you can do is you're going to click into it. I do full-size image. And you can either save it to the desktop, or you can drag it to the desktop so that you can use that. And at that point, you're going to go to File. Oops, make sure you're in Flash there. You're going to go up to the top bar and go to File, Import, Import to Library. Okay, and your files should come up. And at this point, you find where you saved the picture, and you can press Open. I already imported it, so oops, I did not import it because this is a new document. So library, you can also drag it in, and it will import it. Okay. So again, whenever you go to File, Import, everything's going to go into your library here, which is right next to the Properties box. And I'm just going to make a new layer. And I'm going to bring it down to the bottom so that the letters are above this layer and drag it in. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my Free Transform, hold Shift so you're constraining the proportions, and make it a little bigger. Oops. Okay. And you can position it how you want it, size it how you want it, but make sure it's not like super tiny in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to lock the layer. That way it doesn't get moved around. And let's start with our A now. So I'm going to click on here. So this is, again, with any tween, this is my starting point. Now I need to make a keyframe. Where do I want it to end? At what point do I want it to be transformed? I'm going to press F6 on 180, and we can always extend. So you can see everything disappeared here. I'm going to go to my layer there, F5 to extend. Again, I don't need a keyframe because I'm not changing anything on this alligator silhouette. It's just a reference. I'm getting rid of it at the end, so F5. Okay, so let's go back to this keyframe. Okay, so this is how I want it to start, and this is where I want it to end. So maybe at this point, I'm going to move it up a little bit. And there's two ways to kind of go about the shape tween. I like to go with my selection tool first and just play with some of the edges. So you can do it this way. But you're probably going to have to use a combination. And how you use this silhouette is you want to try and get the edges of the letters as close as possible to the edges of this silhouette. And it may abstract the words a little bit, but we're not too worried about that. So then you can go to your brush tool and kind of play around with that so you can add to the shape. So say I want my A to come out like that. I can use my paint bucket tool and fill it. And I want this to come out, and I'm doing this very quickly. Paint bucket tool. So now I have to try and make it look more like an A. And I think that this A is almost going to be turned around a little bit. What did I do in this one? Let's see. Yeah, you can see. Okay, so I kind of had this weird shape on the side of that A. So I'm going to move this, try and fill up this space. The less negative space possible, the better. We want to try and fill up as much space and see as little black as possible. And then I'm going to actually see if I can move this up towards the eye so that space acts as the eye hole. And I'm sure there's much better ways to do this, and I'm making it a lot harder on myself right now. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm not going to perfect it, but you know, try and make it look a little nicer, kind of like this finished one here. Okay, so say this is my A. I'm going to even lift this a little bit more just to make it look a little more like an A. And then if you want it to change colors, you're going to do that at this point too. So I know alligators are normally green. I probably shouldn't have started off with green, but I'm just going to have it change colors so you can see it in the tween. But anyways, I have the before and I have the after, and then just like the classic tween, you're going to right click in the middle, create shape tween. I also could have gone to modify shape tween, or sorry, insert shape tween. So then you can see here we have our shape tween in there. Okay. Now if I go back to my final copy here, you can see that I tried to make the letters look a little bit more like their letters. I know the A is still a little crazy here, but because the others still look like their letters, for the most part you can still read it. The R is a little more abstracted, but all of this in the center you can still read. So after you do the shape tween for each layer, and you can see I did that same process for each of my letters, you're going to extend it for a little bit so it's held. People can take a look at it, and then pick some kind of very small motion that the animal can do. And I just did it, you can see in the timeline, frame by frame. So I did a couple frames of it closing its mouth, and then I copied the frames. Oops, no, that's still a tail. Here, a couple frames opening its mouth. Then I copied the frames, and you can reverse them to have it open and then close again. Okay, same thing with the tail. Okay, so next part. You can see here, again, I was talking about the L and the I are a little off. What you can do to help these morph better is use shape hints. Okay, so I'm going to go into my L, and I'm going to click on this first keyframe. I'm going to go to Modify, Shape, Add Shape Hint. Okay, and you can see, oh, I'm sorry, I did the wrong one. I'm supposed to do the second L, but these are all shape hints that I had already put in to help it morph the way I wanted it to morph. So if I go into this next one, Modify, Shape, Add Shape Hint, you can see it gives me one shape hint at a time. So this says A. I'm going to put A at this corner, and then I need to go to the last keyframe, and it gives me another one. Where do I want A to match up to in this keyframe? If it's at this corner there, I want that corner to be up here at this point. We're going to do this, we're going to have to keep going back and forth. So go back to the first frame, Modify, Add Shape Hint. Now we have B. I'm going to put it at this corner, and at this point I want B to be at that corner. Go back, Modify, Shape, Add Shape Hint. Sometimes shape hints can be a little buggy too, so like I'll put the shape hints in and then it doesn't fix how it animates. Sometimes if you reopen, it'll fix itself. So shape and shape hint. Okay. So now let's scrub through this and see if it animates any better. See? Now look at the difference, how that L is just expanding itself rather than completely flipping itself over.